Hi there, this is Jacob Nash, and this is review of Module 61, Assessing Intelligence. All right, so in this picture we have Alfred Binet, and he came up with the idea of mental age. What is this? A measure of intelligence devised that describes a level. So we might have an actual age. So what is your actual age? But he's trying to say we also have a mental age. It might not be the same as our actual age. Um, ooh, it's kind of hard to see the laser thing. Stanford Binet. This is someone named Terman made this test called the Stanford Binet, and it was just a revision of Binet's original test, but it had multiple parts to it that could determine your mental age. Intelligence quotient. This is just IQ. This was made by William Stern, and you will have to know how to calculate it uh, for an AP exam. This is really like the only math you would ever have to do, but really, you don't always have to do it on every exam, but sometimes you do. Mental age divided by chronological age. Chronological age is just actual age. So, for example, Joe Biden is 80. Well, maybe not when you're watching this, but he is now. So, uh, and let's just say, oh, his mental age is uh 81, whatever. So 81 divided by 80 times 100. So pretty much if your mental age is larger than your chronological age, then you have an IQ that is above average. If your chronological age you can't change, but your mental age determines your IQ. If it's higher than your chronological age, then it's going to make you have a higher than 100 IQ, which is above average, and vice versa. So there you go. Achievement and aptitude tests. So an achievement test is just a test that assesses what people have learned. So what have you learned? What have you achieved? Aptitude test is a test that is designed to predict a person's future performance. Aptitude is just the capacity to learn. So while achievement focuses on what you have learned in the past, aptitude is in the future. WAIS. This is another intelligence test that is made by someone named Wechsler. It is considered the most widely used intelligence test. It has both verbal and nonverbal tests. So you might have something where you're given a card and you have to arrange blocks in a certain way. So it's not just verbal things. There's also one for children called WISC. Statistical stuff. This is just kind of some random stuff that you need to know. Standardization. This is defining uniform testing procedures and meaningful scores by comparison with the performance of pre-tested groups. So this is when we're we're deciding this is the standard to go by, we're comparing it with this. That's just basically what it is. Just comparing. And then the normal curve, maybe you remember, it's this thing. It's just considered what it's usually like in a distribution. There's usually most people are around the middle, and by most we mean 68% is in one standard deviation from the mean. The mean is in the middle. That's what that upside down H looking thing is. And then two standard deviations is 95%. Three is 99.7. That's just the empirical rule. And so obviously with the normal curve, most people are around the middle, and then few people are by the low and high extremes. And that is still the case with intelligence. Flynn effect. This is the idea that we may have gotten smarter over the years. So we might have to adjust our normal curves and bring it down, make it, we got to make it in some cases, we have to make our tests more difficult if we feel like that the people have gotten smarter, or the normal curve will start shifting to the right, or not necessarily more people will be at the high end, but the whole thing will shift to the right in comparison. Uh, Reliability and validity. So, what is reliability? How consistent are the results? If they're consistent, then they're reliable. They've got to be consistent. If you're getting a different thing every time, that's not reliable. Validity, is it predicting what it's supposed to? It's not valid if it's not. If you're not testing and getting results of what you're actually were trying to, then that's pointless. And we have two types of validity. Content validity, this is just the extent to which a test samples the behavior that is of interest. So the content in psychology, that would typically be behavior. And then predictive validity, the success with which a test predicts the behavior that it is designed to predict. So is it predicting what it's supposed to predict? Oh, continued, not done yet. Oh, and yeah, I'll get to that reliability in a second, but let's talk about two other kinds of validity. Internal, external. Internal is the extent to which you can be confident that there is a cause and effect relationship that is not explained to other factors, such as questions being asked. So basically, the extent that we are confident that there's a cause and effect relationship. External is just the extent that it may be generalized and externally compared to other things. Now, back to reliability. Remember how consistent are results. Test retest reliability. This is a correlation between a person's score on one administration and the same person's on a different administration. So it doesn't matter what the administration is, it should be consistent. That's what that reliability means. All right, standardization, sample, and norm. So what is a standardization sample? This is just a group of people that are meant to represent the whole population. So remember, I don't know, I'm kind of tired. I can't even remember if that was on this video. No, it wasn't. Yeah, I talked about this in module 60. But standardization is just our ability to compare and say, this is what we're going to base it off. So what are we basing it off of? A standardization sample. So it's like, this is just a normal thing. We're comparing it to this. Based on this, for example, IQ, we say 100 is, if there's a people that had 100 IQ, we would consider them to be a standardization sample, because we say that if you have above 100, you have above average IQ. Below 100, below average IQ. So that's what a standardization sample is. It's like this, the kind of foundation like thing that we compare stuff to. Norms. These are standards of performance against which anyone who takes a given test can be compared to. So these are just standards that we commonly use. Other kinds of tests. So we got to know about power test and speed test. A power test just gauges abilities in certain areas. So it's like, all right, just think about maybe any test that's not timed. You're just looking at a certain area. But a speed test is what it sounds like. Maybe the questions are easier, but it's more competitive because it's going to be timed. And how fast you do it matters for a speed test. What you know in certain areas is what matters for a power test. Thurstone's theory. So this is Thurstone, and he just thought that intelligence develops in many forms. So you just got to know that he thinks there's different forms of intelligence. I know sometimes there's things that seem short and random, but it's just something that you got to know. So know about Thurstone. Psychometrics, this is just basically psychological testing. All right, we have some questions here. Ooh, kind of a lot. Create and compute a IQ score. Oh, okay. So let's say someone's mental age is 16 and their chronological age is 14. What would that mean? Well, always if I already told you before, the mental age is what kind of determines the IQ. So if we have a higher mental age than chronological, so this would be saying someone is 14 years old, but their mental age is that of a 16-year-old. Well, that sounds good, right? They have an above average IQ. Mathematically, that occurs because when you have a fraction that the numerator is greater than the denominator, it turns out to be a number that is greater than 1. And if that is multiplied by 100, it will always be greater than 100, which is the average score. Hopefully that makes sense. In this case, it would turn out to be 114, which is above average because it's above 100. Norms against which the performance of later test takers can be evaluated is called standardization sample. A test that is designed to assess what a person has learned, that is considered an achievement test. Don't get mixed up with power test, not the same thing. That's just looking at something in a certain area. Remember, has learned, that means past achievement. Future would be aptitude, right? All right. What would be the best criterion for evaluating predictive ability? Okay, dumb question. The computed. All right, just forget about that one. Don't pay attention to that one right now. Okay, the extent to which a test measures or predicts what it's supposed to. Oh yeah, that's validity. What contribution did Alfred Binet make? Oh, remember, he came up with the idea of mental age, made an intelligence test. This eventually led to the creation of IQ. He wasn't the one that made it, though, not Binet. What is the evidence of reliability of a new intelligence test? Consistency, remember? Reliability means that there's consistency. What would a score of 100 on the Stanford-Binet-Wechsler scales indicate? An average score. Oh, okay, yeah. What is it called when a test yields consistent results? Reliability. Okay, pretty much the same thing as number 7. That's why I hate it. Okay, what effect demonstrates that intelligence increases from generation to generation? That's the Flynn effect, remember? What type of validity describes how well scores on one measure predicts? Oh, that's keyword, predictive validity. What do achievement tests and aptitude tests do? They look at learning from past and may even predict future performance. Achievement, past, aptitude, future. Bam. Thank you for watching.